Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to Fantasy for the Ages. I'm Jim, the father of this show, and this brief quick take episode for you today. In about 5 minutes, I'm going to tell you some books that I used to recommend to people that I would not ever do anymore, and reasons. If you enjoy this episode, if you agree with me, even if you don't agree with me, but I entertained you, I hope you'll like the episode. Subscribe to our channel and check out all the other things my son Zach and I have on here for your entertainment. All right, let's get to it. There are some books here that were vastly popular once upon a time, and with some people still are really popular, but no, I can't recommend anymore. First up, the Sword of Truth series by Terry Goodkind. I'll admit it, I've read the entire series. This was many years ago. As I read further and further into the series, I start to feel ickier and ickier. Okay, he's got some real disturbing issues with treatment of individuals, with torture, with women things. It's dark, it's ugly. And Terry Goodkind? Yeah, I've learned he wasn't a very good guy. So, nope, I don't recommend the Sword of Truth series. Even though some of the books start out really good, it goes bad places. Second, the Xanth series by Piers Anthony. This series is still being written. There's over 40 books in it. Very pun-based, light fantasy magic. It's not very deep. It never gets very deep. As a teenage boy, and even into my early 20s, I found these books entertaining. I've read maybe the first, 12, 13 of them. They're just not deep enough. And they are rather, what's the word, misogynistic? Yeah, I think that's the word people use. I can't recommend them anymore because it's embarrassing. So I still enjoyed the ones I read, but I don't point people at them anymore. The third one, the Gore series, Gor, by John Norman. Okay, these go back quite a ways. They're kind of a Conan the Barbarian style of book. There's a whole series. I only read one of them. I was 12 years old. I was at a campground for like 2 weeks of the summer with my grandparents. And there was a little library. I love to read. I had no books. I looked in there. There was this book. It was clearly fantasy based. It was something of gore. And as a 12-year-old boy, I'm reading this going, should I be? I don't think my grandparents want to know what's in this book. Okay, I was naughty as a 12-year-old. Anyways, this stuff, ooh, yeah. Again, treatment of women. Just look at a cover and you know what's going on in the Gore books. Can't recommend these. Okay, next one. Wicked, The Life and Times of the Wicked Witch of the West by Gregory Maguire. Now, there's a trilogy of these books. They're based loosely on L. Frank Baum's The Wizard of Oz books, but it's the real story behind things. And what Wicked does with this story I love is terrible, is gross, is dark. It's just yucky. People will say, "Oh, that's much more realistic to life," and I don't want realistic life. This is escapism. Wicked the musical? Oh, it's great. Wicked the novel? Bleh. And so I went into it excited to read it, was like, guys, I'm reading Wicked. This is gonna be great. And then afterwards, I was like, oh, don't read Wicked. No. I know you might like it. Not my thing. Next up, The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Oh my goodness, the first book's great, but I can't recommend this trilogy to someone because you are left so disappointed at the end. She did not know how to land the plane. It's a real disappointment where the series goes, and therefore to have it such a high and to have it so on the landing, can't recommend it. Next, Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. Oh, this was so hard for me to get through. I read the whole thing, including the final book, The Earth of the New Sun, that came out later. It was painful to read this. I know there are people that just love this. I hated it. I only pushed through because people have said what a good book series it is. I cringe to think of ever picking it up again. People say you don't really begin it till you reread it. Well, okay, I'm never going to really begin it. And I can't recommend it to anybody. It's so dense, overly verbose, ridiculous vocabulary, convoluted. I didn't enjoy a single moment. Not one redeeming part. Next up, The Chronicles of Thomas Covenant by Stephen R. Donaldson. Now, I read these many years ago. I mean, we're talking 30 years ago. I loved them, but there were some issues with the books, the pacing, certainly some of the content, and I tried to get Zach to read them just from my memories of at the time I consumed them. I loved them, and he found them way too dated and had some real issues with right away in book one with a case of rape. Yeah, you should have an issue with a case of rape. Okay, and there's a reason this happens in the story, but no, he was very uncomfortable, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I get why you're uncomfortable, and I don't think these hold up well enough. I'm never gonna reread them, so I don't recommend them anymore. Zach, you kind of did that to me. You shot him down. Two last things to talk about, and that's only okay. The King Killer Chronicle by Patrick Rothfuss. I used to refuse to read it. I'm now partway through the second book of the two that exist. The third book may never exist. Who knows if Patrick Rothfuss will ever get it? But I'm loving the second book. I loved The Name of the Wind, book one. I totally recommend these now. So there are a ton of people out there who say never read the King Killer Chronicle, and I was one of them. I'm sorry. I was wrong. You should read that one. The last one, I found a lot of vehemence out there on the internet as I did a little research preparing for the episode, was on The Wheel of Time. You guys know I love The Wheel of Time. I've reread these books many, many, many times. Zach and I talk about them, deep dive. There are a ton of people who think they are awful. My daughter's one of them. I couldn't get her to get into them, even though she's still kind of trying. You love what you love. The Wheel of Time, I love. It's awesome. I know some people tell you don't waste your time. I'm going to tell you they're wrong, but that's only true if you align with my perspective. Wheel of Time, Wheel of Time. I'm always going to be on Robert Jordan's bandwagon. All right, that's what I got for you today. A little long here as I got excited talking about these books. Definitely some now you know that I'm saying don't read, don't give your money to, don't waste your brain energy on, but there's a few you always should. And there's a couple behind me on the screen that I didn't even mention that I could have. One of them, I'd say don't read, and one of them, you should totally read. If you can figure it out, let me know. Find us on Discord, social media, email. Love to chat with you about either of those two extra books. All right, that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.